Do you ever notice how every Minecraft world starts the same way? You're excited, everything feels fresh, and you've got all of these ideas in your head and all of these plans for what this world is going to become. And for a while, it actually feels good and right, and you'll build a base and get your gear, maybe even start setting up farms, and it feels like you're finally getting somewhere. But then something shifts. You log in one day, look around, and for some reason, you just don't feel it anymore. Not because there's nothing to do, but because you don't want to do any of it. So, what do you do then? You start over. You get a new seed, a new world, the same exact feeling all over again. And then you tell yourself this one is going to be different, but it never is. And it's not because you got bored, but it's because that you've been playing every single world the exact same way without even realizing it. So if it's not the world that's the problem, then what actually is? So what do most people do when this feeling hits? They assume that it's the world. They look around and think, yeah, this just isn't it. Like somehow the seed was wrong, or the base isn't good enough, or they just need a fresh start. But that's not actually what's happening. Because if you're being honest, every world that you've ever made starts to feel like this eventually. Different terrain, different spawn, but the same outcome. And that should tell you something. It's not just the world that keeps falling apart, it's the way that you play in it. Think about it. You don't really play a new world, you run a script. You already know what you're gonna do before you even load into the game. You get wood, get iron, get diamonds, set up food, start thinking about farms, start scaling everything up. And none of that is actually bad on its own, but when that's all you do in every single world, it starts to blur together. It doesn't matter what seed you have or what world generation you have. If you're doing the same thing every single game, you're gonna have the same outcome. Because you're not reacting to the world anymore. You're just executing a plan that you've already done 10 times before. And eventually you hit that point where everything is set up, but nothing actually means anything. Your base works, your farm works, and you've got everything that you need, and somehow, that's exactly when it falls apart. Because you didn't run out of things to do, you ran out of reasons to care. And this is why a new world always feels so good. It's not just the fresh terrain or the new spawn, it's the fact that for a while you don't have a choice in how you play. At the beginning, everything actually matters. Where you build matters, what you eat matters, even just getting through the night matters. You're paying attention to everything because you have to. You're not thinking about efficiency yet, you're not thinking about massive farms or a perfect setup, you're just playing, figuring things out, reacting to what's in front of you and making decisions in the moment. And that's why it feels different. Not because the world is better, but because you are. But that doesn't last, because the second that you get comfortable, you fall right back into the same pattern. You stop exploring and you start optimizing. You stop reacting and start planning everything out. And you stop playing the world and you start controlling it. And that feeling you had at the start, that is the first thing to go. So it was never about the new world. It was always about the way you were forced to experience it. And the moment that changes, everything else will follow. There's a very specific point where your world starts to feel off. And it's not very obvious at first, because on paper everything is going to be better than ever. You've got good gear, you've got a good base set up, and resources aren't really a problem anymore. And that's when you start building systems. You start building farms, storage, and different automation, stuff that makes everything faster, easier, and more efficient. And again, none of this is bad, but this is the moment where your relationship with the world changes, because you're not really interacting with it anymore, and you're just taking from it. You're not going out and getting what you need, you're just standing still waiting for something to come to you. And this is where that feeling starts to creep in. You log in, look around at everything that you've built, and instead of feeling proud, it just feels empty. Like, think about it for a second. You build something insane like a gold farm or a creeper farm or something, whatever. It's producing stacks of items, more than you'll ever need. And your first thought is, okay, what do I even do with all of this? That question right there is the problem. Because every moment that becomes efficient, it also becomes forgettable. You didn't remove the grind, you removed the reason behind it. And now you've got everything, but none of it feels like it matters. So at this point, most players think that the problem is boredom, like they've just run out of things to do. But that's not necessarily true, because Minecraft doesn't ever run out of things to do. You just stop caring about doing them. And that's a completely different problem. What actually kills a world isn't lack of content, it's lack of meaning. Think about your world for a second, not what you've built, but what actually matters in it. Is there anywhere you want to go back to? Not because you need something, but because you actually care about that place? Or is everything just there to serve a purpose? Your base stores items, your farm gives you resources, your systems keep everything running. But none of that means anything beyond that there's no attachment. No reason to stay in one place, no reason to slow down, there's no reason to come back. So of course you leave. Because if nothing in your world matters, why would you even stay? And that's the part that nobody really talks about. People don't quit their worlds because they're finished. They quit because their world stops feeling like a place and it starts feeling more like a machine. So if the problem isn't the world and it's not boredom, then what do you actually do about it? You don't need a new world. You need to start playing your current one differently. And it's not some big overhaul. It's small decisions over and over and over again that completely change how the world feels. Like this. Stop leaving places the second they're quote-unquote done. Most players build something, finish it, and then move on immediately. But that's exactly why nothing sticks. Stay there longer than you need. Walk around it. Add some details. Use it for things that it wasn't even built for. Let it actually feel like a place and not just a checkpoint or something that you just pass through. Stop building things only when you need them. That's how everything turns into a task. I need storage, so I'll build storage. I need food, so I'll build a farm. Instead, build things before they're necessary. Build because it fits into the world, because it makes sense in that spot, because you want it there. That one shift alone changes everything. And this one's the big one. Stop optimizing everything immediately. The second something works, you try to make it perfect, faster, bigger, and more efficient, but every time that you do that, you remove another reason to interact with your world. So don't always do that. Let it be a little slower, a little inefficient. Give yourself a reason to actually be there. And that's not to say to stop building farms entirely, because I think that they are a good thing, but just maybe stop building all of the farms immediately. Make yourself go get the stuff that you need so that you can constantly do more. Give yourself a reason to actually be there. Because if everything in your world exists to give you something, then nothing in your world actually matters. And once that changes, the way your world feels starts to change with it. And when you actually start playing like this, your world stops feeling like something that you're gonna try and finish, and it starts feeling like somewhere you exist in. You're not just logging in to get something done anymore. You log in and you just walk. You move through places you recognize, not just because they're efficient, but because you actually spent time there. You know that small house that you built early on? You don't abandon it, you pass by it, you add to it. And it becomes part of something bigger over time. Paths start forming between buildings, not because you planned them perfectly, but because you actually walked those routes enough times to make that make sense. And suddenly, your world isn't just a collection of systems, it's a place with a structure, with memory, and with meaning. You remember where things are, not because you labeled everything, but because you were there. And that changes everything in your world, because now when you log in, you're not just asking, what do I need to do now? You're asking, where do I want to go? And that's the difference. So no, you don't need a new world, because starting over isn't fixing anything. It's just resetting the same pattern. And if nothing changes, you already know how that ends. You'll build, you'll progress, you'll get everything set up, and then one day you'll log in, look around, and feel nothing. Not because the world's bad, but because you never gave it a reason to matter. Maybe the problem was never your world's. Maybe it was the way that you've been playing them the entire time. And until that changes, it doesn't matter how many times you start over. You're just gonna end up in the same place.